The bottom line is everyone's all matzoed out and all wined out. What do we need 2 more days? What are we celebrating these 2 days of holiday? So tonight and tomorrow we are celebrating the splitting of the Red Sea. We know that the Jews, when they went out of Egypt at midnight, they came to the Sea of Reeds, and this is the splitting of the sea, the famous splitting of the sea. So many people will ask me, Rabbi, that happened, splitting of the sea, it happened so many years ago. What are we celebrating? Something that happened who knows when. Okay, it's long gone. So I tell them as follows, my friends, we're not celebrating only the splitting of the Red Sea. We're celebrating the splitting of the sea inside of each one of us. Let me explain, my friends. Each one of us have moments in our life that we have an opportunity to save a person, to go out of our way for a person. It's mainly called going out of our comfort zones. We have that challenge. And you know what? Some of us step up to that challenge and some of us don't. What does it take to save a person? Sometimes the sky right now is weeping. It's a terrible situation what's going on. There are people dying by themselves in the hospital. There are people who are suffering left and right. There are people being buried without a proper burial, without people there. Some of them not even a minyan. And some of us can't go out of our comfort zone to help somebody in need. No, it's our schedule. We have a tight schedule. We have something, we have an event. We can't ruin our time. It's a fixed event. We can't do it. So my dear friends, I want everyone to know that we have to, and this is the lesson of the splitting of the sea, we have to split our own sea, the sea inside of us, and be ready and able to go out of our comfort zones for other people. The world does not revolve, like I say all the time, only around us. The world revolves around everyone else. So many people who need a hand, so many people who need a smile, so many people who need a kind word, so many people that needed matzahs this year. There are so many families that needed food. Israel, Brooklyn, Margate, Philly, all over. It's unbelievable how many phone calls I got. And we have to learn one thing. There's no such thing anymore. We learned from this coronavirus. There's no such thing, there shouldn't be at least such a thing called, I'm too busy. We were so caught up with our busyness, so caught up with ourselves. And look, right now we have all the time in the world. What are we doing with our time? The time is ticking away. Are we using it properly or not? It says, and this will understand what the Talmud says also, that matching up a man and a woman is as hard as the splitting of the sea. That's in the Talmud. That's in the Talmud Tractate Sota. And the question is why? Why is that so hard? And the answer, my friends, is just like the splitting of the sea was something, it was so above nature, it didn't make sense. No one could explain it. When two people have to live with each other, when two people have to love each other, when two people from two different planets have to bend towards each other to bring up a family, yes, it's above nature. It's almost impossible. Just like the splitting of the sea. But yet, if we bend a little bit and compromise a little bit and split our own seas, every single marriage would work out. In order for the world to go back to normal, it can't go back to normal. We got to make a change. And the change that we have to make is we have to split our own seas. It's time that God is telling us, You're not on top of the world. Now you had no time for your family, you had no time for your neighbors, you had no time for your friends. Now you have all the time in the world. Let's see what you could do. Let's see what you're going to do for your friends. Now you have all the time. Split your sea, and that is the lesson from today's holiday, splitting of the sea, the 7th day of Passover. Now I'd like to speak a little bit about something that's extremely important, and that is the last day of Passover, which is on Thursday, Yizkor. So the question that many people have asked me was, wait a minute, Rabbi, can we say Yizkor at home by ourselves without a minyan? And the answer is yes. If you have to, you can say Yizkor at home without a minyan. You can even say the memorial prayer, the Kel Mole, without a minyan. The only thing we cannot say without a minyan is Kaddish. Otherwise, Yizkor and the Kel Mole, you could say. The famous writer and author, Isaac Bashevis Singer, he said as follows: we Jews have many faults, but amnesia is not one of them. What he meant to say was, we Jews are known for memorizing our histories, remembering what happened. Zachor, that's what comes from the word Yizkor, Zachor, to remember. What is memory all about? Zachor is so famous, it's such a fundamental aspect in Judaism to remember, that I'll tell you something that many people don't know. The Torah speaks about remembering Zachor over 160 times to remember. And not only that, my dear friends, not only that, let's talk for a minute what memory is all about. What is Yizkor all about? What is Zachor, remembering, all about? Let me explain something. And this, many people stop thinking about this. They stop saying Yizkor today. Yizkor today is old-fashioned. How many people have I bumped into on the streets? Would you like to come into the synagogue for Yizkor? And the answer I get is no. They're gone a long time. Finished. I used to say that. My dear friends, when we remember, our memories mean we remember something that we don't want to lose. Something or someone that we don't want to lose. Something or someone that is dear to us. We revive experiences and relive experiences in our minds, in our hearts, and in our souls. Experiences that have impacted our lives. Remember those who have built us, who have made us what we are. That, my friends, is the power of Yizkor. The great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, the former chief rabbi of the UK, a Gentile comes over to him and says, my dear Rabbi, I am so jealous of you. Jealous of me? Not only you and your whole nation, the people, the Jewish people, and why are you jealous, he asks. He says, because you people, you know what your ancestors did throughout history. You think I know what my great-great-grandfather ate? You think I know what they prayed? You think I know what they did and how they slept? You people know everything. Why is that, he says? Why is that? It's unbelievable. I am jealous, he tells Rabbi Sacks. And my dear friends, that is because we are not people of history. We are people of memory. Let me explain. Do you know in the Hebrew language, in the real Hebrew language, without any slang, there is no word for history. In the modern day Hebrew, history is historia. You add the I and the A, and now you have a new word, historia. There is no word for history in the Hebrew language. In the Torah, it's all zachor, to remember. And why is that? Like I said, because we are people of memory and not history. And let me explain. What is history? Let's go back into school. Let's go back in the time machine. We studied all the histories. Great. We closed our books. We had our tests. We closed the books. And that was it. Who discovered America we know, and what went on in Rome we know, and this we know, and that we know. But it's all history, his story. If you look at the word history, it's two words. It's his story. It's not my story. But when I remember a loved one, when I remember what went on with my ancestors, my parents, my grandparents, that's not his story. That's my story. Why is that? Because it becomes part of me. It becomes who I am. It becomes where I'm going. You know, there are many people I will ask them, my dear friend, do you know where you're going, where you're headed? Yeah, he tells me, and he's beating around the bush. You know why? Because in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from. In order to know, ask people what they're willing to die for. They can't, yeah, their family, obviously, there. But what concepts, what values are they willing to die for? They can't tell you. Because first they have to know what they're willing to live for. We are a people, the Jewish people, we are a people of memory. That's what made us live today throughout history. We have to remember that our parents, our grandparents, our children, you know, people talk about Yizkor. Let's remember our loved ones. But how many people forget that there are people that still have parents, but they lost their children? How many times do I mention in my Yizkor sermons about the children who are forgotten? You know why they're forgotten? The children and the parents and the grandparents and those who went in the Holocaust and those who went in the ashes. Because it's all history. There's no such thing, my friends, as Jewish history. History is good for the classroom. It's a book. We have memories. Because what they call history, is part of us. It's part of our DNA. It's part of who we really are. So I have a question. How many people look at Yizkor as remembering people that are part of them? Or is it only my lost ones, my dear ones, my dear departed? No. When a dear departed passes on, it's part of us. There's one way we can make sure they live forever. And that's taking part of them to be part of us. If we're going to say, yeah, I had a father, I had a mother. Did you ever hear anyone say, yeah, my former father, my former mother, my former grandparents? No. It's my father, it's my mother, it's my grandparents, no matter if they're not here already for 50 years. There's still my father, there's still my mother, there's still my grandparents, there's still my ancestors, there's still my family, because they are part of my DNA. They are part of me and I am part of them. And in order for them to continue living on, we have to make it not a history book, a history prayer, the Yizkor prayer. Because if it's just going to be, I'm coming not to feel guilty, and that's it, don't say Yizkor. Say Yizkor and know that they are still with you and part of you, and will always be part of you. And if they'll be part of you and you live with their values, your children will live with their values. I remember when my father, alav shalom, passed away in California, and they flew his body to Israel. My parents are buried in Israel. I remember standing in the cemetery and seeing the truck coming from the van coming with the body from the airport. And I watched the body being lowered in the ground. And I was thinking to myself, is this an end and finished? And I came to a conclusion that it's not. It's not. It's only going to be an end if I want it to be an end. But if I live a certain way with certain values, and I give those values over to my children and to my grandchildren, that, my friends, that means it's not an end. It's part of me. And it will be part of them. And it will be part of their DNA. That's the power of Yizkor. It's hard to always remember 24/7. Comes 4 times a year. 4 times a year. That we use our memory the way it should be used. At least 4 times a year. And to think for a moment, not just to mumble the words. My dear friends, when you're at home saying Yizkor, close your eyes. Picture your parents, picture your grandparents, picture your children. Picture your parents and grandparents giving you a kiss and you giving them a kiss. And anyone who lost children, picture yourself giving them a kiss. And them saying, Mommy, Tati, Daddy, I love you. Because as long as we picture and envision them, they are going to always be part of us. And they will always live. And the Bible and the Torah, in the book of Genesis, towards the end, it speaks about our patriarch Jacob, Yaacov. It says he died, but it doesn't use the word died. It says Vayigva, he expired. And then it says, our rabbis tell us, Yaakov Avinu lo mes. Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, our patriarch, did not die. So everyone asks over there, all the other rabbis, wait a minute, what do you mean he didn't die? They eulogized him. They embalmed him. They buried him. What do you mean he didn't die? So our commentaries give us an answer. Ma zaroi b'chayim, hu b'chayim. As long as his children are still alive, as long as his children are still keeping his legacy, his values, as long as he is still part of his children, he is still alive. It's a pity that we remember our loved ones, our dear departed, only 4 times a year. How many of us really sit for a moment sometimes and picture them in our office, at work. But imagine picturing them. They're alive. They're alive. Yizkor gives us the power to sit, contemplate, think to ourselves, where did we come from? Where are we going? How did we get to where we are? How did we transpire the process of how we got here? That's the power of Yizkor. It says in Yizkor that I please remember so on and so forth, my father, my mother, my grandmother, my child, And in their memory, I give tzedakah, charity. Why charity? Why not a kiddush? Why not a kiddush? Why not give a good steak dinner, a party? Why not just make l'chaim? Because it says in the Holy Zohar, in order to really connect their souls to our world, we need something physical. And when we take that physical money and give it to charity that we know that it's going to help a yeshiva, help a poor person, help a shul, in their memory, that means they actually helped and they're actually still here and alive with us. This is not a fundraising campaign right now. I just want to mention it's very important that after Yizkor, which is after the holidays that is, for Yizkor, everyone should give charity to wherever you'd like. No matter how much you give, it doesn't matter. Because this is part of remembering our dear departed. If we would only concentrate and focus on the power of Yizkor and think about what memory really is. Shed a tear. I know there hasn't been one Yizkor since both my parents passed away that I didn't shed a tear while I'm, at least one tear, that is, while I'm saying Yizkor. What's so special about the tear? Do you know that a tear is the first tool of communication? What does that mean? A baby's born. What does it do right away? What does a baby do when the baby wants to be changed? Or when the baby's in pain? When the baby wants to eat? When the baby has to burp? When the baby doesn't feel right? It cries. And you see real tears coming down. Tears is the first communication of a baby. That's how a baby communicates. And all of a sudden, especially a mother, knows what the baby wants, what's wrong. Why? Because those tears become part of me, part of the soul, part of our souls, part of our hearts. What are tears, by the way? Let's go to rain. You have rain that comes from the clouds. Why? What makes it rain? It's just a lot of precipitation up there and everything. It can't hold it. It rains. The heart has so much inside of it, it has to let the tears out. The same way. There's nothing wrong to cry by Yizkor. Don't be ashamed. Let's remember one thing. Those tears are communication. Those tears are communicating to a soul. Those tears are communicating to another heart. And as I say all the time, my friends, a heart feels a heart. So my only question now is, are they part of us? Are they part of our memory? Or are our parents, grandparents, ancestors only part of history? Are they his story? Or are we going to make them our story? Because if we make them our story, that story will live on for generations to come. If it becomes history, his story is gone, forgotten. Let me tell you something that I'm full of pain about this. We're going through a terrible plague right now, the coronavirus. It's a terrible, terrible thing that's going on that no one can explain. So many people that I personally know have died alone in the hospital with no parents, with no children have died without parents, parents have died without children, grandparents have died with no relatives there. Families have not gone to burials. Rebbeinu Shalom. Let's forget about history. Let's learn to start living and making Judaism part of our story. Making our parents, our dear departed children, our dear departed grandchildren, part of our lives. Make it our own story. And that, my friends, is the power of Yizkor. How many people, like I said the other night in my other class, right after the Passover holidays will begin to sit Shiva. When we say Yizkor, let's have them in mind too. Let's think about what real life is. God's giving us a message right now and saying, back up, folks. Stop thinking only about yourselves. Start thinking about where you're going, where you're at, how you got here, and become better. You know, they say we can't wait for things to get back to normal. I don't know if normal's that good. I don't think things will ever get back to normal after this. My friends, after the Holocaust, it took a long time for things to get back to normal. And many people changed for the better. Maybe that should become the new norm, to change. And with that, before I conclude, if you don't mind, as I said, we can make Yizkor and memorial prayers Kel Mole without a minyan. So if you don't mind, I will make a Kel Mole, a memorial prayer, before I conclude today, for all those who have passed away from the coronavirus. So if you just will spare me another few moments, I'll say the memorial prayer, and we'll wish each other a Chag Sameach, and we will only hear good news. El Moli Rachamim Shoichein Merahimim Hametzei Menochonechoino Halekanfei Hashechino Hoy b'malois Hoy b'malois Kedai shematahirim Hoy kizoyar rakia Mazehirim Es nishamois Shalelo sheniftaru Mi Margate Hanayro HaKorona Sheholchu Loilomom Mavo Shenachnu Mispalalim Yad Koras Nishmoisayim Hoy Beganei Yeden Tehei Menuchasom Hoy Lachein Balarachamim Yastirein Beseiser Kinafal Yelomim Vitzrar Bitzrar Achaim Esishmoisayim Hadinoi Hunachalosam Veyanu Abishaloi Mamishkvaisayim Venoi Mar Amen. I'd like to wish everyone a Chag Sameach. Stay safe, stay healthy.